Should I use my fancy microphone? Clean ya off. Because we got, oh no. It's been interesting. Every time this dog barks, he gives me a freaking heart attack. What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. I'm Haley.
And I'm Andrea. And we have a podcast.
So, if you are unaware, my good friend Andrea and I have a true crime podcast. I have not really shared about it on here just because I forgot, honestly. It just slipped my mind. I didn't think about it till the other day when I mentioned it in a vlog, and so many people were like, wait, what? You have a podcast? So Andrea and I decided to put a little video together to tell you guys what the podcast is about and let you guys know about it, because I know not all of you are following us over on Instagram, or if you are, maybe you don't see it. Honestly, like, I know that I am so bad about seeing things on Instagram, and like, I'll open the app to like go to my messages to chat with people and posts will pop up, but then when you go back to the homepage, it like refreshes. So I always am missing posts. It just like, if I don't like your post on Instagram, it's not meant in any way. I just didn't see it. So anyway, that's where I'm sharing the most about the podcast. So if you're not over there, you haven't seen it, we have a true crime podcast. We started it back in May. We are almost done with season 1, which is really exciting. So I want to tell you guys a little bit about it, why we started it. So I've always been into true crime. So is my friend Andrea. If you don't know Andrea on YouTube, her channel is Andrea Shaynanigans. And we've become really close over the last, I don't know, year and a half or something. But we've never met each other in person, which is really funny. But I absolutely love her. I have loved getting to know her. And I'm so glad we're doing this podcast together. So we knew that we both liked true crime. I knew that Andrea liked true crime just because we've talked about it. We've shared podcast recommendations, whatever. And I also knew that we all kind of had these like, both of us had this like aspiration to one day start a podcast. We had talked about it, I think back in the beginning of 2021, but it was kind of just like, oh yeah, that would be fun to do one day. Fast forward to like February. No, it wasn't February. I think it was like March, late March, sometime this year before May. I was listening to another podcast that I really like. It's called And That's Why We Drink. If you haven't listened to it, I'd highly recommend it. But I was listening to their podcast, and it's a paranormal true crime podcast. And one of the true crime stories that they covered was the story of these 3 girls who were kidnapped and held captive in Cleveland, Ohio for 10 years. And they escaped. So I listened to their covering of this story. It was really good, but I was like, oh my gosh, I need more details. So I started looking it up. I was hoping to find a podcast that dedicated an entire season to the case, because I was like, I just need more details. I want to know more about what happened and all that. And I couldn't find one. There were other podcasts that had covered the case in like 1 or 2 part episods. Obviously there was other information out there about it, but no podcast that covered it like in more depth. And so that's when a little light bulb went off in my head, and I was like, hey, this could be a cool podcast to start. So I messaged Andrea and I was like, hey, have you heard of this case? Like, do you know it? And if so, would you want to do a podcast about it with me? And she was like, heck yeah. So yeah, we decided to start a podcast because I wanted more information about it. And I figured if I wanted more information, other people probably did. And the reception has been amazing. It has been so neat seeing so many people discovering the podcast and enjoying it. And it means the world to all of you guys who have listened to it already. Like, we appreciate your love and support so much, and we really wanted to tell this story because these 3 women are so freaking inspirational and resilient, and I just thought that their story deserved to be told more and explained more and like gone in more depth. So I'm just gonna give you guys a few little details about what the case is about so you can decide if you're interested or not. Hopefully you are. But it is about 3 women who were kidnapped and held captive for 10 years in Cleveland, Ohio. So their names are Michelle Knight, Amanda Berry, and Gina De Jesus. The 3 of them were all abducted at different times. So Michelle ended up being held captive for 11 years, Amanda for 10, and Gina for 9. So they were all in there together, in the house together for 9 years. Ariel Castro, who is a disgusting monster, held them captive for those 10 years, or 9 to 11 years, depending on who you are talking about. But it was his house. He kept them chained for like 6 years. So they were chained up constantly for 6 years, and they were finally let off of their chains, but still locked in the house. They couldn't do anything. They barely got any fresh air or sunlight. Some really terrible stuff happened to them. And of course, we do discuss some of that, but we try to keep it as like only the stuff that's absolutely relevant to the case that we talk about. And we do give trigger warnings, of course. But it truly is, as like difficult as it is to hear and to tell, it's amazing because they did not only escape, but they got through this. Like, they survived it. They are so freaking resilient and so strong. Like, I cannot imagine these women and the strength that they have. They are all thriving and doing amazing today, which makes it a lot easier to tell just knowing that. Amanda Berry did end up also having a daughter while she was in captivity, and she's also doing amazing and well and thriving. So that makes it a lot easier to tell. And that's why I wanted to tell the story, because it's like, these women are freaking incredible. And like, okay, yeah, they escaped. That's miraculous and incredible. But what's even more incredible is how strong they were to be able to stay sane and stay strong and get through this and come out as good people. So yeah, that's just a little bit of info on the case. Tons more details in our podcast. Obviously, we walk through Castro's history, how each of them were abducted, and their time in the house together, Amanda and her daughter's life, and then we soon will be covering the escape, which I'm so excited for that episode because that's just going to be like, glorious. So if you guys are interested in that, you'll have to check out our podcast. Yeah. We have some very exciting things. We're already planning season 2, which we're going to cover another case in more depth. And we're also planning a bunch of like smaller episodes about single cases. Some of them might end up being like 2 or 3 parts, but you know, like mini episodes, not a whole season dedicated to one case. But I'm really excited about those as well. So we're covering cases that have always like stuck with us, or is what got us into true crime. So I'm really excited to share those as well. Plus, everybody who's been listening has been asking for more content. So we are coming at you with this. We are both really enjoying this. I'm having such a good time with this new creative outlet, and it's really fun. And it's fun doing the research. It's fun sharing about it. And like I said, the feedback has been amazing. So we appreciate that so much. So I guess I should probably say the podcast name because I realized I haven't said it. So our podcast is called Inhuman, and currently it's called Inhuman, the Monster of Cleveland. So it's because we're covering this case that is about this kidnapper in Cleveland. We're trying to decide what we want to name it after this season, if we're going to just have it Inhuman or have it something else. So if you guys have suggestions for that, leave it down in the comments below. Kind of what we're possibly thinking is calling it Inhuman, or like Inhuman Podcast or something like that. And then each season will have kind of its own name. But we're not really sure what to do. So let us know if you guys have suggestions. But I am just so freaking like excited about this. I'm so excited to be sharing it with my YouTube family. So if you're into true crime, be sure to check it out. I will have it linked down in the description box below. We have an Instagram for it, which is inhuman_podcast. So you can check out like photos from the case, and we post updates and stuff over there. It's available on all the major podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and all the other ones. So I will leave all those links down in the description box below. If you do listen, it would mean the world to us if you subscribed to it, if you left a rating and review. It just helps us get out there when people leave reviews or even just ratings. You don't have to write a review, but if you just leave stars, that helps as well. It just helps Apple be like, oh, hey, people like this, so I'm going to promote it more. So yeah, that is all. I just wanted to tell you guys that we have a podcast, that it's something that I'm doing because I am like having such a good time with it, and I know Andrea is too. And I think that a lot of people are really into the true crime scene, the true crime thing. And if you like true crime, I think you'd really like this story and hopefully our podcast. So that's all I have to say. Check it out, link in the description box below. Let us know what you think if you have listened or do listen, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.